Alright, hello. So, this is my breakdown of all the mages in DFO and how they might work in Dungeon Fighter Duel. So, that's fun. For some context, I play every single mage in this game, and I have been since the Nexon era, except for Summoner, because she sucks and I hate her. So she won't be in this video, and I'm not really sorry about it. And yeah, let's just start. So I'm gonna get into some like default F Mage stuff first. Her movement sucks. She's really slow. This is her walk. It's cute. This is her dash. It's also cute. Her auto combo looks like this. It's very slow and like barely combos into itself or anything, but that's okay. You don't really need to use it a lot. Her dash attack is this. She doesn't fall if she hits, but it's still not very rewarding. It's just kind of... Look at her. Her air attack looks like that. That's all she can do. So that's fun. But she has some cool moves that I want to take note of, because kind of one of the things about her is that all the subclasses use a lot of these. So her launcher is probably the most important one. You use this the most. It looks like this. It's called Sky Assault. And unlike the other launchers in this game, I think it's the slowest, actually, in terms of just like when the attack comes out. But you do this kind of moving motion, so there's a blind spot right in front of you. That wasn't a good example, but there is one, trust me. And you can move up or down during it. A little bit of an evasive maneuver and movement tool, which makes it unique in that way. It's definitely a little bit faster and safer than just walking. Another thing that's kind of similar is Palm Blast. Looks like this. You can charge it, or you can just release it instantly for a really quick attack that travels less far and doesn't do as much damage. And you actually have super armor during the attack when you charge it all the way. So that's fun. And something you can actually do with this, which I do as pretty much every mage in PvP pretty often, is... So Sky Assault launches this high, right? But Palm Blast actually launches already, so you can do... Fuck. There you go. So a pretty common technique is you're going to do Palm Blast into launcher because it gives you a higher launcher and more corner carry, all those kinds of things. And another fun trick with this move, I think it's really fun, is I want this guy in the corner. If you hit the enemy into a wall, then it'll actually bounce them if you get the fully charged, and it does a second hit of damage and launches them way higher than it would normally. So you'll see this in like kind of weird optimal combos, and you can go into launcher super easily after that. A lot of fun gimmicky things with Palm Blast. Great move, love it a lot. Another common one, this is actually, I find, probably the most like default combo starter. This is Dragon Fang. It's a really short cooldown special, like 2 seconds, and it's just a poke. It goes really long, but you can cancel it actually into a couple different things. So for starters, you can cancel into it with, actually, can you not? You can. I don't know. Anyway, you can cancel this into Palm Blast. You can cancel it into Sky Assault, your launcher. That's it. But together, you can do all kinds of cool combo startery things and get in from a surprisingly far range. So that's cool. And another thing is that she just has a shitload of projectiles. This is Magic Missile. You can just use this, and you have a little bit of control over where it goes. It's incredibly spammable, doesn't deal a lot of damage. And Lantern Firebomb. You can do an uncharged version pretty quickly, or a charged version. And Pluto, this is the one you use most often in combos. Has this cat kind of like come out, go back in, 2 hits. You can do it like that, fun stuff. And Frosty, this one is used a lot in zoning because it's so slow and menacing, and you can actually hold up or down during the casting, and if you do up, it goes kind of like this anti-air thing. The down version isn't really that useful, I don't think. But yeah, this is very annoying to deal with. Another thing she has is Flurry Circle. That just kind of stays there, and they disappear after hitting an enemy once, but look at them stay there. So this is a fun, scary kind of set play thing, and you can use it in combos too. And probably the most important, more than any of these things, thing that F Mage has is phase shift. So I need this guy. Basically, anytime that F Mage is in hit stun, knockdown, or just like under fire, pretty much, watch what she can do. She can just teleport away. And you have some degree of control over where you teleport to. There I was holding back, that's down, stuff like that, and it spawns this little wooden doll that if you go over, you get a movement speed buff for a while. It's on a really long cooldown, but it's basically just you get out of disadvantage for free, so that's fucked up. Alright, so we're going to start with the Elementalist, and we're doing that because, in my opinion, she's kind of the least gimmicky of the F Mages, for lack of a better word. Her thing is really just kind of slinging a lot of spells at you, and they're all big and scary, and she would definitely be quite the zoner. I would say in PvP she's kind of strange. Her game plan is generally just to zone you with a lot of projectiles, like all these things that we talked about before, and pretty much she wants an opening with this move, Fire Pillar. We'll get into that a little bit later. So I guess the closest thing she has to a gimmick is that a lot of her skills use the cast time mechanic in this game, which used to be a lot more common, but they've kind of phased it out for every other character but Elementalist, so I guess it's her thing now. Essentially, we'll show you what it looks like normally. So you go to use a skill, and you can press it. It does that. You'll see there's like a really... that's a long one I can use. There's this blue bar above her head that has to fill up before the skill happens. If you hold down the button, then you are able to basically keep charging beyond that point until you reach a much stronger version, which is obviously bigger and does more damage and sometimes has different properties, but usually it's just better. So a lot of her skills have this, of course, and her gimmick is called Mobile Cast, because normally you're stuck in place while you're doing that extra charge, but for Elementalist, you're just not. So I can pretty much get this spell ready, move around, and do anything but attack or jump, and then I can let it go whenever I want. So there's like a brief period of pausing right when I start charging where I can't move, and then after that I'm free. It doesn't reduce my movement speed at all, and that's super fun. However, she does take more damage while using Mobile Cast, and she does have two moves which you can't do that with, which is Fire Pillar and Ice Walls. So, another thing she can do involving cast speed is she has her Showtime buff, which lasts for a short period of time, and basically you just cast faster. So, that meteor that takes forever is now that fast, and it just generally makes all your combos way easier, makes new things you couldn't do before. You know how it goes. So her other gimmick, you can probably see it already, it's called Elemental Burn, these 4 symbols around me. Basically, it's permanently active once triggered, but it gives nothing by itself. So when I first use it, we have these 4 little flames, and this does nothing. However, all of my attacks, as the name would suggest, have elemental properties. So this is light, this is a shadow move, fire, ice. And each time I use one of those, the symbol lights up and gets bigger, and every one of those gives me a damage boost. They're all independently tracked and calculated, so you have to maintain it and keep it up if you want the full damage boost at all times. and it encourages you to basically use all your moves instead of relying on just the same one the whole time, because then you'll be worse. So, those are her mechanics, and now I think we can just go really quickly over all of her attacks and important things. So I would say Fire Pillar, pretty important. It is exactly what it looks like. You cannot jump this, there's no way. I think it'll probably be even stronger in a 2D game. You have some degree of where it ends up, but you don't have a lot of time. It gets, I believe, a little bit harder with Showtime active because you've cast it faster. It launches opponents really high. I've noticed that in this training room, it doesn't actually launch the enemy as high as it does in PvP, but normally it would take them almost to the top of the screen here, which gives you time to combo with literally anything. You can set up into pretty much any of her attacks, and it's really good, and it's her main combo starter. You use it in neutral a lot, and when you hit it, you can do anything, so that's fun. Next one, Shadow move. This is Void. It's a very, very slow projectile, gets bigger the more it's charged, and has a slight pull-in effect on hit, which you can kind of see here if I move him here. See, like it drags him with. It has a very long casting time, notably, but I think it would be great for Oki, so that's fun. Ice Walls, it's not a reversal in this game, but I think that's maybe what it could end up being. You can't mobile cast it, it's pretty quick, and it just pushes enemies far away. Not really good at combos at all. You can just totally pass through the walls, but it does actually absorb enemy attacks for a little bit. They have their own HP and, last about that long. Sunburst is her fastest move. Even without Showtime, the charge just goes. It's really quick. It knocks down pretty far away on hit, so you can't use it for combos very well, I've found. There are some situations, especially in juggles, where it just kind of doesn't really have it doesn't give you time afterward to do stuff. But it's a very good approach tool, I find. Because you can kind of just do that, and it's huge and scary. Lightning Strike. This is another light move. Pretty slow cast time, but once you do, you have full super armor for the full duration of this. Can't move, you just control this reticle, and you get 3 attacks that you can make wherever you want. They don't all have to be in the same place, and each one stuns the opponent, so you can link into the next one. And another fun thing you can do is that you can actually cancel it by trying to jump. So after the stun, you can just go straight into launcher, or really whatever you want. However, I mean, I could be grabbed here, I think. Black Hole is exactly what you think it is. I think maybe it shouldn't last that long. We'll see. It's big and it's super slow. You could jump over it, but you can't really escape once you've been caught by it. Arctic Burst. This move is odd. It's very big, as you can see. It has a chance to freeze enemies on hit, but I find that in PvP especially, the hits don't actually combo into each other, so you can kind of just walk through it, and you'll take some damage, but it's not really that bad. However, it does have the same ability as the Lightning Strike, where you can just cancel it. And it's pretty much no end lag, you can just do that, and it's safe, so that's fun. And Halloween Buster, you've already seen this. It's a meteor. Good. So, we're going to move on to the Witch now. This is my main, actually. She has been since the dawn of time, and she's incredibly complicated compared to Elementalist. So this one might take a little bit longer. But just an overall summary of who she is, right? So she's the most air-based mage by far. She has all this insane air movement and juggle potential. She's definitely still a zoner, but she kind of struggles to start combos and instead gets most of her damage from various unavoidable sources of damage, like she does damage over time, she has homing projectiles, and she creates these hazardous effects on the field that don't really combo, but you kind of just passively hurt you. I'd say her biggest strength is also her set play, and if that wasn't all a lot of things, she's also an RNG character. So let's get into it. Most of her stuff is pretty much the same, but she has some new stuff. So this air attack, instead of just being one attack, you can actually do this. So you can do 3 sequences of this 2-hit, and the second one has you hop. So if I get a little guy here, I have to launch him first. You can pretty much just carry them into the sky, and that's really fun. I like that a lot. And another thing about this is that kind of 3 chain count, you could reset it. So I use all of them. This is Lava Potion, and I can do it 3 more times. So she can stay in the air for a very long time, and something fun is that she can actually stay in the air for longer because if you hold jump in the air, she does a slow fall. And she has 2 air dashes. They go very far. Pretty much this whole entire long stage. You can reset the air dash by using a skill in the air, getting 2 again. So you don't really ever have to touch the ground if you don't want to. And another thing, which is very important about her movement, is that her dash is normal, but her dash jump does this. It's kind of like a hover dash, like Ino or Morrigan or those kinds of characters. In fact, it is that, but instead of being the dash, it's her dash jump. And you can cancel this with an attack, so you can do these sort of like really low air attacks to the ground. And this leads to a very common combo she has, which we affectionately refer to as Scrub the Ground, where you pretty much just do that, and you can juggle with it, but this guy is too heavy right now for some reason. So that's how she works, and a lot of her skills are faster when used in the air versus the ground, and there's only a couple that can only be used on the ground. A really common example is, so this is Fly Swatter. Simple attack. If you use it in the air, it's that fast. So you can combine this with things like Backstep to do these sort of very instant, fast, possibly overheads. And this is, of course, a combo starter and tool and very useful. And yeah, this is something that you can do. So pretty much she jumps and she throws everything she has at you. I think that's a lot of fun. And you can also do this out of Backstep because it's all incredibly quick, and she doesn't have to be high above the ground to use any of these things. So here's an example. And that's just the beginning, right? Like, you can do so much more. So I would say that in and of itself is quite the gimmick, but she actually has another one. It's called Disorder. And essentially, almost every skill Witch has at least 3 variants. There's Failure, Success, and Great Success. The effect you get is determined randomly with different rates for each skill, blah blah blah. It's hard for me to actually show you how this works because my Witch is too high level and basically can't like get the bad results anymore. But as a general rule, most failed skills will still happen but deal significantly less damage or not have any of the normal special effects. A success is considered normal, and a great success adds something special onto the skill. So as an example, I'm going to use Enhanced Magic Missile, and you see that's kind of 2 parts. The first one where the missile goes to the opponent and then it flies up and does a second attack. That second attack only happens with a great success. Now because I'm level 100 and blah blah blah, I can only get a great success with this skill, but you get the point. And she also has this passive called Bitter Lollipop, where for just a couple skills she can force a failure, but those skills' failures are unique. So this is Lava Potion normally. And I'm going to go over here. So that's out of the way. And this is the Bitter Lollipop version. The same also applies for Mega Drill, which is normally this. And with Bitter Lollipop, it's this. And then there's Raging Flame Furnace, which is that normally, and then Bitter Lollipop does this. So it's kind of a fun option you have. Sometimes you really can't get bad luck, but you definitely can usually. So now getting into skills, we have, this one's pretty important. It's a super armored grab called Dark Manteau, I believe. Yes, Black Manteau. It has pretty good range. It forces a knockdown. You can get OTG hits with it, like that, but it's pretty hard to pop them back up into a real juggle, so it's not, its combo usage is limited, but it's kind of a reversal, and it's one of her few ground-only skills. You can't use this in the air at all. It's also not affected by disorder. It's always the same. This one is the same, where it doesn't have any randomness to it other than explosion size. So this is Shururu. It's a little doll. The AoE doesn't mean anything. Don't worry about that. After a long time, or when it's killed, it will explode into fire, but I can also input the skill again to explode it whenever I want, and I can also do that while doing other attacks. So set play and zoning, super fun. The explosion also goes like surprisingly high into the air. Like, you can't jump over that as well as you think you can. Fly Swatter I've already shown a little bit. It bounces opponents, so you can go into launcher and things like that pretty easily. Can be used as a part of juggles, and just really fun air move. It's faster after a backstep. When it kills opponents, it spawns a minion for the witch, but that doesn't really apply to PvP, so I don't know. we'll see if that makes it in. This is probably one of her most important moves. This is Enhanced Magic Missile. It's this homing projectile, and something that's interesting about it is that in PvP it actually doesn't deal any hit stun at all. It has incredible range and it homes, so it's very hard to dodge, but it's basically just damage and nothing else. You can't use it in combos or anything like that, but still it's a huge part of her zoning because you just throw it out. It's safe, like, you're probably not going to get punished for it unless they're right in your face, and it's free damage. Another couple examples of that, there's Acid Rain and Lava Potion. These are kind of just hazardous effects that fuck you up, and they don't deal hit stun normally, contrary to what it may look like right now. Holy shit, I killed him. But I have weird awakening effects that add stuff. So the normal Lava Potion just looks like that. It deals fire damage, it's cool. And Acid Rain, it's just that, but if you get a great success with Acid Rain, it makes these lightning strikes that you can see, and those do deal hit stun, which makes it a whole lot scarier, as long as just more damage. You can also use these in the air, which is funny. And Flore Collider is a really weird one. Basically, you make this big kind of machine that has lightning that homes it on the enemy. Normally Witch would be operating this herself, but I have things that make it happen on its own that I can't get rid of for some reason. You have super armor on the startup and whole duration. You're practically untouchable, which is hilarious. It's a pretty classic combo ender because you can't really ever do anything after it, and it puts you in a hard knockdown at the end. It's also another way she kind of does this unavoidable damage, because in DFO you can't block, so it's just if you're in the circle, you take the full thing every time, but it'll probably change. A really fun combo move, this is Broomstick Spin. There's also a ground version. Looks like that. It's pretty simple. It has a chance to confuse you and reverse your controls upon landing, which is evil and fucked up. Because sometimes that'll just happen when you really don't want it to. But a fun gimmick that it has is during the landing animation, you can use one of several of your skills without any animation, like, or interrupting the broomstick spin itself. So here's an example of that. See, the lava potion came out, but I didn't actually do that throwing animation at all. You can also do this with, let's see, you can do Manteau, you can do Enhanced Magic Missile, this other move that we'll get to later, Collider, and Shurura. I believe that's all of them. The same applies for the air version, it's all the same. So then we have more like kind of supery moves. This is Mega Drill. You can move around. You can turn. It's hilarious. You're pretty much invulnerable during the whole time. But it's a little bit of a joke move, especially in PvP, because for some weird reason they made it bad and the hits don't combo into themselves. So you can actually just walk out of Mega Drill once you get caught in it. It's weird. I hope if they add this move, they fix that. But this version's good. So that's something. I killed him. Raging Flame Furnace. Raging Flame Furnace. This is the great success here. You can angle these coals. Up, down, left, right, wherever you want. It's a very, very high damage move if you can land all hits, but it has a similar problem to Mega Drill where sometimes it doesn't combo into itself. Usually it'll only like properly work in full in the corner. So what I found is a very practical use for it is that you can cancel it at any time with no end lag by pressing jump, which lets you use it as this kind of long-range combo starter. Which is very good in particular because you're super armored during the furnace like operating animation. Oh, I got one of the summons. Hey. And then the last move I saved, in my opinion, the best for last. This is Gravitas. It's disgustingly large. High damage launcher lets you pick up off of OTG or knockdown opponents, and you can actually begin a new juggle off of it by going back into launcher. And it's just like weirdly fast too for how good it is. It still does the attack even if you get hit, and you can use it in the air as well to cover your jump in or whatever you would like to do. So yeah, that's Witch. She is a lot of things. Alrighty, so it is time for the Battle Mage. She's the only real rushdown F Mage. She's super combo intensive and has no real reason to zone like the other ones because her up close game is just so incredibly good and stupid. So let's get into it. Some basic changes. She has a new ground auto combo. It's okay. Definitely has more range and speed than the default F Mage one, so she has that going for her. You know, start combos with it. Doesn't really juggle that well, but of course it doesn't. She can also cancel some of the like default F Mage moves into this combo now. So she can do Dragon Fang into this auto combo, and she can also do Palm Blast. Which, from my experience, I don't use that very much, but I could. Her gimmick, you can probably already kind of see it, but it's called Chasers. So, every time I hit the third hit in my auto combo, I gain one Chaser, which is a little orb behind me. I can hold a lot of them. They expire after a while of not doing anything. You have to use them for them to mean shit. And basically, I have this little skill down here called Chaser Launcher, and I can use this anytime shortly after dealing damage to an enemy. It's not a super generous window, but you have a little bit more time than what I think is fair. And once it's been triggered, it's unavoidable. You can do Chaser Launcher while doing any kind of attack. It's free, really. And you know, it uses a Chaser every time, so you're limited in how much you can do it, but there are ways to get them pretty quickly. There are 5 different types of Chasers. The auto combo gives you what's called a neutral one, this little like orange plain Dragon Ball looking thing. And then there's different elemental types. The elemental types have their differences, but they're pretty minimal. The only thing you really need to know is that some pop grounded opponents into the air for juggles and others don't, so it changes how you combo. And the other move she has that creates them, Dragon Fang, makes, I believe that's a light, or maybe water. This is Stabbing Wheel, it makes a Dark Chaser. And Palm Blast makes a fire one. And what's the last one? Oh yeah, Sky Assault makes, I think that's water, maybe. So generally, you can use chasers much faster than you can make them, so you have to be careful about when using them to extend your combos and juggles creatively. Like I can do launcher, chaser, and that kind of gives me a little bit more time, it adds hit stun and everything like that. However, there's a fun buff she has called Chaser Generator. This isn't active all the time, but it passively creates chasers for you every couple seconds. You'll see it going here. But every time you attack, there's also a roughly 25% chance to create one from that as well, so the more gaming you're doing, the more chasers you'll have, essentially. And aside from Chaser Launcher, there's a couple other ways that you can use them. So there's Fusion Chaser, which is a lot like Palm Blast. It always uses 2 chasers from your stash, and there's 2 different versions. If you tap the button, it does a big explosion and knocks down, but if you charge the move, it makes a spinning chaser that fucks you up. This notably doesn't do hit stun, but it could. Who knows? It's just a fun little option. It also takes on the elemental properties of the chasers used, but that's too complicated for right now. Then the last option you have with your chasers is called Chaser Press. It's that. It uses all the chasers you have on you at once. It gets bigger in size and damage, so if I use one, it's just like... Well, it's still pretty fucking big, actually, now that I look at it. But yeah, it increases in size and damage based on how many you have. And you can also combo after this move, usually, which is fun. Now for a skill rundown. She has a lot of attacks that just kind of hit you, and we'll go through them pretty quick. This is Double Swing. It's really good for OTG kind of combo fodder. You can get Chaser Launcher off of each hit, so that's 2. Pretty fun. Time Bomb. This one's kind of weird. I don't even know if I want to mention it, but basically it's just Dragon Fang, but it puts this little guy, and after a while it'll explode. However, the final explosion doesn't do hit stun, and you also can't trigger Chaser Launcher off it, so I don't really know what the point is? I don't know. Full Swing. This is huge. You use this to approach a lot of the time. Combo starter. It's great. We love Full Swing. And there's also a cool like follow-up EX move that I like a lot. You can do Chaser Launchers and start gaming on them. Punto Wave is a combo ender move, I would say. It has the special property of during it there's a decreased cooldown on Chaser Launcher, so most of the damage from it actually comes from just mashing the Chaser button. Like that. And then there's that final swing. You can go into the final swing early, or you can press jump and just cancel the move instantly. You also have super armor the whole entire time. Which is ridiculous, honestly. Meteor Assault. This is a move that you can charge, but you don't have to. I'll show you the charge version. You just kind of dash forward, hit people, and then you dash back. You have super armor if you fully charge it on the way going forward, and you're always invulnerable on the return. It pops opponents into the air, as you could see, and it's basically just a way of dumping a chaser onto someone. If you're close enough, you can combo. But you can't always. It's very safe to just kind of throw out this move, though, a lot of the time. You can't use it in the air. Battle Mage doesn't really have any air stuff. I would say that's her biggest weakness. And then this is probably my favorite move she has. Let me see if I have it configured right. Okay, this is Dragon Strike. It goes through super armor, which for this game I guess technically means it's a grab. And it has the same effect as Punto Wave, where you can just mash chasers during it. Because of the decreased cooldown, I didn't really have enough there. And there's also a variant option you can choose from, which isn't a grab. It's this kind of move, but you can combo after it for, I believe the variant move does less damage. I would hope so. Because the first is kind of a combo ender, and then this one you can use to extend, or just... It just fucks, to be honest. Also, fun surprise, this is an install character, if you weren't expecting that. So, this is Tiana. While she's active, all your chasers are now neutral chasers that are bigger, but really just the exact same. Her basic attacks are all different. So this is her new auto combo. And, you know, chasers and things happen. That's how it works. This is unfair, to be honest. Her dash attack is a multi-hit. It's, like, ridiculously good. You can combo straight into auto combo and don't even need chasers, but you could just mash those two. Her air attack you can use twice. I still don't know if I'd say this is good, unfortunately, for her. You can only use some of the default Battle Mage skills. Oh, it ran out. So you can do Meteor Assault, and that's really the exact same. You can do Punto Wave, which looks like that. You can do Dragon Strike, which is also the exact same, and Chaser Press. She has a couple new skills as well, so this is the new launcher. It's a multi-hit, but otherwise it's really just a launcher. And then you can do, what's it called? Broad Swing. So this stuns the opponent, and then there's kind of this secondary explosion after the initial hit. I think it's so cool. It also freezes them in place, even in the air. That wasn't what I meant to do. That was supposed to be a surprise for later. Okay, hold on. So yeah, you can do crazy combos with that. And also she has this. You can only do this once per Tiana, I suppose. But yeah, so that's Battle Mage. Basically everything she has is safe because she can use chasers, and there's nothing you can do to stop her. Okay, so now it's time for the last one, Enchantress. She's a little bit hard to translate into a fighting game, I think, because she's a support character, actually, in this game. Her main goal is basically to buff her teammates, and I don't think you have teammates in Duel, so... But her archetype summary, as I have it written, is that she's a highly defensive puppet character who has to maintain her unique resource and various buffs in order to stay at full potential. Her puppet mechanics, honestly, in my opinion, are very simple to understand and use, but they make her combos incredibly flexible once she gets in, though she doesn't have a lot of movement, and not even a single thing resembling something to do in the air, though. She has no special movement or attacks that separate her from default mage. It's all normal. Even though she uses a broom like the witch, she can't fly. She doesn't have any of that. It's quite sad. So like I said, she's a buffer character. So the way her buffs would work would have to be pretty different in Duel. For the sake of this video, I'll just be explaining them just as if she cast the buffs only on herself. Her two main buffs are Favoritism and Forbidden Curse. Favoritism essentially increases your defense, and it also removes some of the Enchantress's bad side effects her other skills can have when it's active. Forbidden Curse, her other buff, increases the damage you deal by a shit ton, but it drains your HP if you don't also have Favoritism active at the same time. She also has a couple healing things. This is Meticulous Stitching. You can cancel this by pressing jump at any time. It heals most on the initial tick, and then is... what did I do? Sorry. It gives more when Favoritism is active, and then she also has First Aid of Love, which is just the exact same thing, but the numbers are better, and it looks a little different. So yeah. Those are both just channeled skills. I would say her main gimmick is her Hex Dolls. You can see in the bottom left this indicator here. She can hold up to 4 at a time. She has a bunch of skills that use these Hex Dolls. They have no cooldown, notably, so you can just spam them like this, which is hilarious, and I love it. And pretty much all of them are just huge AoEs that do different things. So the first one I've already used. This is called Hot Affection. It uses one doll. It deals a single hit of pretty good damage, and then it puts this unavoidable DOT over time, DOT, to anyone in the area when it's used, and it gives a buff also to the Enchantress that makes her move and attack faster. It doesn't deal any hit stun, notably, but it's very helpful for combos because it's kind of just very easy, free damage. Destiny Puppet uses 2 Hex Dolls, so it's the most expensive one. It makes this kind of zombie that chases down and explodes for huge damage. And if you have Forbidden Curse active, it also increases the strength of that buff. It's a very, very good set play tool, but it kind of has the weakness of you can just jump. And then you wouldn't ever get hit by it. The other one is Hex. I need a different enemy to show you what this looks like. So a channeled ability, it turns them into a stuffed animal and you just kind of whack the shit out of them. They can't move during that or attack you or anything like that. The final hit launches the opponent, so you can combo. Notably, you can go right into this move, Harvest, which is the move that gives you a Hex Doll, so the move Hex doesn't cost you anything. I don't know. And then she has one other one, but you don't really ever use it. It's called Black Forest Briar. It does damage, knocks down, and it makes this little plant that you can hide in, but it deals damage to you while you're hiding in it if you don't have favoritism. I don't know. But yeah, so this is Harvest. It's insane and unfairly strong. I don't know what more you would want than this move. It has incredible range, it starts combos, it extends combos, it ends combos, it gives you resources, does good damage. Use this move if she gets in the game. Use it. You can combo into Sky Assault. Oh, I killed him. Sky Assault, and from there the world's your oyster, really. Do whatever you want. And I'm sure you've also noticed there is Mad, this little bear right here. That's his name. He has a few cool skills. Some of them can be used while the Enchantress herself is doing other attacks, and others they have to do together. The ones that are separate, I'm going to call these independent skills, I guess. So if you use one of these raw, here's an example. You'll see that the Enchantress still does this animation where she's like commanding him, but you can cast this during other skills she has. So if I'm using it during Harvest, I don't do the animation where I tell him to do it, and it's just kind of a thing that happens and is free. So we'll start with this one. This is Mad Straight is what it's called. It has crazy range, and it knocks down. You can combo, do cool things. I need to stop killing these guys. Make them high level. Another one is Mad Slash. 2 hits, really simple. Nothing to really write home about. It's very good for OTG hits, I've found. It's honestly just a combo move. Jumping Bear Press. This one's fun. Does a lot of damage. Launches a little bit, so you can get some juggles off that if you're cool. Kind of works as an anti-air, I've found. There's a bit of a falling hitbox, and you can adjust the distance it goes by holding forwards. This one's a little silly. This is Mad the Guard. So it just looks like that simple attack, but I can actually use it only when I'm within a certain distance of him, the enemy. And it pretty much just has him automatically go to the nearest enemy and do this kind of ground bounce attack, which is pretty good. You can use it at any time you are not actively being hit and dying, so a lot of the time you can break out of pressure with this if the opponent isn't ready for it. However, it's kind of inconsistent and sometimes will miss opponents if they're just like running. And this is a skill that they do together. I killed him again. You didn't get to see that. So full combo off this move. and you are fully invulnerable the whole ass time, even during the slow startup. You can move a little bit during it in any direction. Mostly forward is what you're going to see the most. You can't cancel this at any point. And yeah, she also has one other move, which is just so upsettingly busted in PvP. I love it. This is, what's the name? Bramble Prism. So, incredibly fast startup. Giant range. And as soon as it starts up, it holds the opponent in place. They can't get out for the full duration, so they're guaranteed to take all the damage, and you can do other things during it. In fact, you probably should. So that's a really good way to set up into that move, or any of the crazy high damage Hexstall things that she has, and that's Enchantress.